Hey guys, welcome to another news dump.
Yes, it's time for news dump. That means technically, if you're watching this, we're not working right now, which is awesome.
Our favorite and your favorite part of the weekend. So this Sony Pictures hack just keeps getting crazier. On this week's Tech Tuesday, we reported on how someone had hacked into Sony Pictures' office computers and threatened to leak a whole bunch of private data unless their demands were met. They also leaked 4 Sony films onto BitTorrent sites, some of which aren't even in theaters yet.
But you'll notice they didn't leak the interview. We'll get to that. Then in Tuesday's main story, filmed mere hours later, we updated that story with the fact that the hackers were now leaking all sorts of documents, including a spreadsheet of the salaries of 6,000 Sony employees.
And since then, it's only gotten crazier. Employees' social security numbers and medical records have gotten out. There's private emails and sexual harassment claims, as well as loads of unpublished script drafts.
Yeah, there's gigs upon gigs upon gigs of leaked data to sort through. And while doing so, Gawker found a file called Sony 2012 Comments. And it's kind of funny and also pretty sad.
Yeah. The document appears to include comments from employees submitted anonymously in an employee feedback survey. Most big companies, including ours, do this sort of thing from time to time as a way to find ways to improve their business without, asking people face to face how to do it.
Yeah, because that'd be too awkward. Some of the comments from Sony's employees are pretty damn negative, but also refreshingly honest, yeah.
Now, some highlights include, seems like we just reboot old product instead of coming up with new ideas. That's true.
Get out of here with that outside of the box thinking. The boorish least common denominator slate strikes me as a waste of resource and reputation.
Ooh. Disney will make $300 million on Spidey merchandise this year alone. We won't. Oof.
Yeah, that's true. Remakes, sequels, and movies which are better off being true Hollywood stories should be left by the side of the road. These are just like people that leave comments on YouTube working for Sony.
Stop making the same safe, soulless movies and TV shows.
Stop or reduce support for areas that have no more value. Sandler movies and DVDs. Oof.
There is a general blahness to the films we produce. We continue to be saddled with the mundane, formulaic Adam Sandler movies.
So whatever deal Sandler has with Sony sounds really one-sided, and people at Sony are not happy about it.
There's a lot more like Sandler comments in there. There's just a general lack of satisfaction with whatever's going on.
It's good to see that the people that work at Sony think the same way that the people that work outside of Sony do.
But that's not all. This web of intrigue goes deep. When those leaks first happened, a lot of people were speculating that maybe North Korea was behind it, since Kim Jong-un has been very vocally against the Kim Jong-un assassination comedy, The Interview, since it was announced, and The Interview is a Sony film.
The North Korea theory was initially dismissed, but internet security firm Alien Vault was able to track the malware behind the hack, and through a process we admittedly are totally clueless of, figured out that the computer that created the malware used Korean characters for its display text.
What? So, that doesn't mean North Korea did it, but it certainly supports that theory. It would definitely answer the question of why the hell whoever hacked Sony is so damn mad at them, especially their CEO, and Kim Jong-un isn't exactly known as the most stable person around, so either way—
Wait, you're talking about glorious leader Kim Jong-un?
Oh, sorry.
He's not stable? Oof. News to me. Either way, watching this whole thing unfold has been fascinating, and it definitely isn't over yet. But like I said before, they didn't leak the interview, so—
But anyway, speaking of Koreans breaking the internet, Korean pop star Psy's video for Gangnam Style has been the most viewed video on YouTube since just after it dropped back in 2012, and currently has been watched over 2.1 billion times.
Where does the time go? Well, it turns out that when YouTube was designed over 8 years ago, they never fathomed that a single video could even reach that number. In fact, the coding of the original view count software was set to stop at 2,147,483,647 views.
Yeah, I've got no idea why they chose that very specific number, but according to the old coding, once a video hit that number, it would just stay there.
It's another Y2K. It's Y2K all over again. YouTube's engineers recently noticed that Gangnam Style was quickly approaching that number and decided to go in and fix the code. It can now register over 9 quintillion views, or however you say this number right here.
Yeah, I think they'll be fine for a little while, unless Psy makes a music video with PewDiePie and the Charlie Bit My Finger Kid or something, then they might be in trouble.
Anyway, Google commemorated the change by adding this fun little Easter egg to Gangnam Style's view counter, which resembles an odometer or a slot machine when you hover your mouse over it. That's cute.
Yeah. Speaking of breaking the internet, jacking off in the UK just got a whole lot harder.
Harder!
For some people, at least. According to the new Audiovisual Media Services regulations, online porn producers are now banned from showing BDSM, fisting, face-sitting, or even squirting.
Jesus, how is anyone gonna get off anymore?
I don't know. no.
Pornographers online must now follow the same regulations as the porn sold on DVDs in the UK, meaning it must have an R18 rating certificate. Basically the UK equivalent of an X rating.
Now, most of the stuff that's now banned outright is definitely on the kinky BDSM side of things, and reading through the full long list of banned sex acts over on Wikipedia, I can't help but picture a bunch of old British dudes sitting in a room watching porn all day with a checklist in front of them.
And a cup of tea.
Fisting. That's got to go.
Take that off. Some of this shit is really specific too. Like, obviously child porn is illegal and wrong, but R18 rules go so far as to ban even family photos that happen to be in the background of a shot during a sex scene if they include a minor. So.
Yeah, like there was one movie that was banned because there was like a tiny family photo on like a nightstand next to the background. Like, no, there's a child in there.
Yeah.
Banned. Also, on-camera urination is perfectly fine.
Of course.
But urinating onto or into another person is a no-go.
And of course, the aforementioned BDSM, stuff like bondage, hair pulling, choking, and fisting, and also squirting for whatever reason, are all banned.
But don't worry, kinky British masturbators. Things aren't as bad as it seems. These rules only apply to online porn produced within the UK. So, while I'm sure a lot of British fetish porn producers are pissed that they're now losing a great source of income, if you're into that kind of shit, you can still find plenty of it online that came from other countries like ours. You fucking pervert.
Probably Germany too.
Oh yeah.
But if your jack-off tastes are a little more vanilla, you'll be pleased to know that Mr. Skin, the internet's Hollywood nude scene database, has released their list of the top 10 celebrity nude scenes of 2014.
Coming in at number 1, to the surprise of absolutely nobody, is Alexandra Daddario in True Detective. We can't argue with this at all. It's pretty much permanently etched into our minds.
She looks great.
And a great actress too.
Yeah. At number 2 was Scarlett Johansson in Under the Skin. She's fully nude multiple times in that movie and looks fantastic. But honestly, this movie is one of the darkest and least arousing things either of us have ever seen.
Yeah.
It's a great movie though.
Great movie, but yeah, it's a real boner killer. It like made me feel just empty.
Scarlett Johansson, boner killer.
And then there's Ava Greene. She came in at number 3 for 2 separate movies that she showed her perfect body in last year. Sin City 2 and 300 Rise of an Empire, which are 2 very subpar and unnecessary sequels that she personally saved from being completely worthless through her selfless sacrifice.
Yeah, the rest of the list is Stacey Martin in Nymphomaniac, Olivia Wilde in Third Person, Lizzie Kaplan in Masters of Sex, Kerry Russell in The Americans, Natalie Emmanuel in Game of Thrones, Shailene Woodley in White Bird in a Blizzard, and Cameron Diaz in Sex Tape.
Yeah, apparently she does show like her butt in that movie.
That's her butt. But let's move on to something from 2014 that totally killed our boners. Edgar Wright quitting as director of Ant-Man.
Yeah, we've never gotten a truly in-depth answer as to why this happened except for a few sound bites about creative differences, but in an interview with BuzzFeed this week, actress Evangeline Lilly revealed a little more about Marvel and Wright's creative breakup. She said that she almost quit after hearing about Wright's departure, saying her thoughts at the time were, "If it's because Marvel are big bullies and they just want a puppet and not someone with a vision, I'm not interested in being in this movie." But after reading Marvel's new draft, she changed her tune. She says, "I saw with my own eyes that Marvel had just pulled the script into their world. I mean, they've established a universe and everyone has come to expect a certain aesthetic and a certain feel for Marvel films. And what Edgar was creating was much more in the Edgar Wright camp of films." She describes Wright's vision as classic comic book. That would have been a riot to film and fun to watch, but would have not fit in the Marvel universe and would have stuck out like a sore thumb. So, I mean, that pretty much confirms what we already kind of assumed. The burden of having a shared universe means that Marvel movies all have to have the same style and tone, and throwing a Scott Pilgrim style movie into that mix would take away from that, I guess. But goddamn, I would have loved to see that. I love every Edgar Wright. His vision is amazing. Every movie that he's done, I've loved, and I would have loved to see this one. Yeah, and like, I get that they want a shared universe, but like, I think it would have been okay to have something a little more like off the wall as its own movie. Like, well, we're gonna get Deadpool, so maybe that'll be the change. But that's a Fox project. Oh, there we go. All right. And they have the freedom to do that, so it'll be interesting to see how like outlandish Deadpool gets. I hope it's rated R. I hope it's rated R. It won't be. But anyway, there is still room in the world for fun, creative comic book adaptations, and it looks like AMC is moving forward with ordering a pilot episode of Preacher, based on the twisted 1990s comic by Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon. Preacher is the story of Jesse Custer, a Texas preacher who merges with a creature that fell from heaven and takes on the ability to make anyone do anything he says. He teams up with his ex-girlfriend Tulip and an Irish vampire named Cassidy, and they go on a journey to literally find God.
The pilot will be directed and executive produced by Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, who have been bros for years and co-directed This Is the End and the upcoming The Interview and the aforementioned The Interview. In a written statement, the duo said, "Preacher has been our favorite comic since it first came out. Garth Ennis is one of our idols and is an incredible honor to be working on this. We promise we won't make too many dick jokes and ruin it." Good.
And Ennis, for his part, is also totally on board with the project, saying of Rogen and Goldberg, "We have been most gratified that they continue to include us and that they have tackled the project with the type of unwavering commitment and courage needed to present the material as Steve and I intended."
Yeah, so it's cool to see a sort of fringe comic book series getting a really faithful adaptation, and if it all goes well, the show would air on AMC sometime in 2016.
So we hope Preacher turns out good, but let's talk about another dark, twisted show that we know for a fact is good.
Yeah, UK Channel 4's Black Mirror is some of the best TV content I've ever seen. Charlie Brooker in general does just a bang-up job on everything. Each hour-long episode is a self-contained story, often taking place sometime in the future that delves into some aspect of our modern tech-driven world, taken to a really, really dark extreme.
Yeah, there's an episode about the social implications of having a sort of Google Glass type video recorder built into everyone's eyes. There's another episode about robotic replacements for dead loved ones. And an episode about an extreme future world where winning an American Idol style show is the only way out of like a life of monotonous labor.
That's kind of how it is now anyway. Black Mirror is created by Charlie Brooker, who is most well known as a satirist and a social critic in the vein of Jon Stewart, and who we should mention is a huge influence on us. Just look up his news wipes on YouTube and you'll see what we mean.
Yeah, the guy is fucking great. I aspire to be as good at making fun of everything in the world as Charlie Brooker.
Idols. Charlie Brooker, now John Oliver, Jon Stewart. We love you.
Anyway, it's been almost 2 whole years since the last new episode of Black Mirror aired, but this Christmas, we're getting an 80-minute feature-length Black Mirror Christmas special starring Mad Men's Jon Hamm.
Yes!
Yes!
Okay, the official synopsis reads, in a mysterious and remote snowy outpost, Matt, played by Jon Hamm, and Potter, played by Rafe Spall, share a Christmas meal together and swap creepy tales of their earlier lives in the outside world. Matt is a charismatic American trying to bring the reserved, secretive Potter out of his shell. Are both men who they appear to be? Along the way, we see Jon Hamm offering an unusual form of romantic guidance to an inexperienced young man. Watch Una Chaplin thrust headlong into a nightmarish world of smart gadgetry and explore what might happen if you could block people in real life, just as you can on Facebook and Twitter.
All 3 stories are bound together into a suitably unsettling movie. Fans of eerie Christmas stories are in for a treat. That sounds fucking great. It's basically, it looks like it's like 4 episodes of Black Mirror like tied together, which is, I'm so excited for this.
Unfortunately, it'll only air on DirecTV here in the US, but we're sure that it's gonna be on VOD sometime soon after that.
I need to check in on that, but they'd be fools not to. They've got a pretty strong fan base here since they started selling it on like Amazon.
They put it on Netflix. You can actually watch the old episodes on Netflix.
Only season 1 though.
Yeah, but go watch those because they're great.
And finally, each week we bring you a couple great videos we found around the tubes. And this first one is a bunch of piss-drunk college chicks embarrassing themselves in a McDonald's drive-thru.
This is just a beautiful video. Filmed by a couple of stoner dudes in a car behind them who provide some amazing narration. This video is like watching the worst of America's youth behind the safety of glass at a zoo. Pull out some feed pellets in the form of alcohol and just feed it to them.
These chicks stumble around with beers in hand and scream and hit the drive-thru window when they don't get their food. And then of course the cops show up and then they resist arrest and they get tased. It's amazing.
Just go watch it. It's been described multiple times as Beavis and Butthead watch America.
I didn't do anything!
Oh, it's great.
And I mean, a little social commentary on this. None of them got shot.
Nope. What a coincidence that they're white, young women and didn't get shot by the police, even though they were committing a crime and resisted arrest. So, fuck everything.
Well, this next video will hopefully restore a little bit of your faith in humanity, even though it's probably just another piece of viral marketing from Target.
Yep, probably is. In it, we see a Target store manager give a speech to his employees right before the doors open for Black Friday sales. He's standing up on the checkout counter and shouting in an accent that's crossed between William Wallace and King Leonidas, and it's basically a classic pre-battle speech that you hear in every swords and sandals action movie.
He shouts, "People of Target, brothers, sisters, hear me now. They're standing out there. Any moment now, these doors will be breached. Whatever comes through those gates, you will stand your ground with a smile on your face. They come here with bargains in their heads and fire in their eyes, and we shall give those bargains to them. This is Target."
So, like we said, it's probably another piece of viral marketing from Target to win back customers after losing everyone's credit card info. But at least it's fun, unlike that dumb Alex from Target bullshit from a few weeks back.
Yeah.
I wonder what Alex from Target is up to now.
He's probably bagging someone's groceries.
Oh, yeah.
Probably getting laid. We both know from experience how much working in retail can totally suck balls,
I used to work
especially
for Target when I was 16.
Yeah, especially during busy times, it's the worst. So kudos to this manager for trying to at least make the insanity of Black Friday a little bit fun for his employees.
Yeah. And sorry for all those Target credit cards I sold you back when I was 16, everyone. I feel like a real scumbag. Yeah, I feel like a real scumbag. I didn't know what I was doing. They had incentives. Anyways, that's this week's news dump, guys. Let us know what you know about what you think about the stories. You want to point out some stuff that we should ask specifically, I guess? See, what did we cover? Are we going to run it down again?
Yeah, we did
Sony getting hacked.
North Korea,
Yeah.
Psy, Mr. Skin,
Yes.
Ant-Man.
What video do you think is going to break YouTube next? Make it this one.
Okay.
We want 2 billion views.
Preacher.
You retire. Go on vacation.
Preacher, Black Mirror, drunk chicks. Okay, what's the dumbest shit you've seen drunk college kids do, and were they arrested?
And what did you do when you were a drunk college kid?
Yeah.
Have a good rest of the weekend, guys. And, you can watch this whenever you want. So if it's like Tuesday, January, whatever, have a good day.
But also watch Tech Tuesday if it's Tuesday.
Yeah.